Alright, so we are moving on and connecting our percent knowledge to our proportion knowledge. So one of the most popular proportions we use as 7th graders is this one called is over equals percent over 100. We're going to be using this. I always know I use this if I see the vocab word is and of. Obviously, if you see is and of, it should connect it to a proportion. Is and of with a percent sign. So unfortunately, they don't give you this for your state test that you'll be taking a long time from now. You just need to memorize this. Anytime you see an is and of, think, make it proportion. Okay? I do want you to kind of relate it to a part to whole, which will be tomorrow's lesson, but I'm just going to make a little pre-connection to that. Notice that a percent is really part of a perfect score, right? If you get 97%, it's part of that perfect 100. And the is really part of of. Like if I said that 27 is 90% of 30, well 27 would be what you got like on a test, if we took a test, that was 30 points. 27 would be is 90%. It is the part as well. And then it's connecting it to that proportion pattern. Part is to whole as part is to whole. Because the whole amount would be whatever the whole amount happens to be. So that's more tomorrow's though. So right away when I read this, 98% of 18 is what number? I look and I see my two vocab words, of and is. And I'm like, oh, so I need to make a proportion. And so I should always have a proportion with 100 on the bottom right. And it should be is over of equals percent over 100. Those of us that need a little visual, because it has been a while since you've done this. Now what can be tricky is which one's the of, which one's the is. So I'll show you my strategy. I go on this little vocab hunt, is what I call it. And I'm looking for the first vocab word, which is of. And I say to myself, what is sticking to the of? I have 98% and 18. Well, the percent is already taken. The 98 goes where the percent's supposed to go. The only number left is the 18. Whoopsie, that's the of. So I'm looking for the is. I'm looking for that part. And then you can always set up a cross product if you like, or use the faster strategy as well, where you multiply the diagonal and divide by what's left over. So we got 100x equals 98 times 18, 1764. X is 17.64. I think you round to the nearest tenth today, so 17.6. Again, my strategy, I see the vocab words is and of. I know it needs to be is over of, is percent over 100. I look for the first vocab word, see what's sticking to it, and then decide like which one is my of. So the next, well actually before I even read it, I made my template. I know it's going to be some kind of proportion, because I have percent. So 35 is 42% of what number? So what I do, go on that vocab hunt. My first vocab word is. And there's two numbers sticking to the is, 35, 42%. Well, the 42 is already claimed because the percent is sticking to it. So 42 goes to the percent. Do not make a percent sign, it's just 42. So that means the only thing left over is the 35. So 35 is my is. And then you can multiply the diagonal, 3,500, divide it by what's left over, and you get 83.3. I'm going to go ahead and box my answers up. Okay, next one. 45% of 30 is what? So So I see of and is, so I know to make my proportion. 100 is always on the bottom right. Some people put it on the front left. That's fine. Or the left bottom. That's fine too. So I look for my first vocab word, of, and I see what's sticking to it. 45% and 30. And I'm not even worried about the is right now. I'm only worried about the of. So 45 is already claimed because it has the percent sticking to it. So 45 is already claimed. That means 30 is my of. So I'll put 30 here, and then I need to solve for my is. 30 times 45 divided by 100. 13.5. So this is fun, huh? 100 is 10% of what? So there's is and of, which means make my is over of proportion. I make my little template. Go on your vocab hunt. Found my word. There's two things sticking to it. 100 and 10%. Which one is the is? 100, right? Because 10% is claimed. So 10 goes where the percent goes, and 100 is the is. So 100 squared, actually, divided by 10 is 1,000. X is 1,000. Okay, I'm just going to talk fast through these because I want to show a word problem that you'll do on the left-hand side here because you have some word problems in your homework. Here I know it's going to be is over of because of the is and of. Find my first vocab word, is. Look at the numbers that's connected to it. Determine which one it is. So the 27% is already claimed. That means my 36 is my is. 3,600 divided by 27. 133.3. 0.3 repeating, but we're rounding to the nearest 10. What is 28% of 54? Vocab hunt, and I make my template. So on my vocab hunt, I see what's sticking to the is what, and 28%. Okay, so 28 goes here. I don't know what they mean by what. So I just continue my vocab hunt. Move on to of. What's sticking to the of is 28%, already claimed, and 54. So 54 is my of. Looking for my is. What also means the variable, like that's what you're looking for. So those of you that can make that connection. So 54 times 28 divided by 100 equals 15.1. Rounded. Okay, I'm going to pause for a second, and you are going to type with me the word problem that I'm going to write down, okay? All right, the word problem we're going to work with, in 2005, the number of drive-in movie screens in the United States was about 84% of the numbers in 1995. About how many movie screens were there in 1995? Okay, so what I want you to think of, well, first off, it's a percent problem, and a percent problem always can be solved with a proportion with the percent on the bottom, or the 100 on the bottom. And then I can fill in the blank, 84 would go in the percent spot. Now what I want you to make a connection with is a percent is really part of a whole or perfect score. So if I think of percent that way, part to whole, then I follow that pattern because that's what a proportion is. Part is to whole as part is to a whole. So I need to know, in 2005, the number of drive-in movie screens in the United States was about 84% of the number in 1995. About how many screens were there in 1995? There's no number to work off of. I knew there's a table in the book. You have no. Okay, so when I made this problem, I I didn't look at the table, realized the table in the book, I needed a value off of it. So I got this 709 from the table in the book. So 709 were in 2005. Is that part or a whole?
Part.
It's part. And how did you know that 709 is part? Toby?
Because we're trying to figure out how much they were in 1995.
Because I'm trying to figure out how much in 1995, and this number is just a portion of how much there were in 1995. Also, you can see that vocab word of, and it says the number in 1995. So of is 1995. So we're looking for that. So you can connect it to the parts of whole, or connect it to the is and of. Hold on a second. Then you would go through and solve it. And what do we got?
844.
844 screens in 1995, I mean.